But I just wanted to stop by and talk a little bit about the Hunger Games again. No surprise, this will be part 3 of Behind the Hunger. I did see the movie last night. My middle daughter, Steph, took me on a date last night, and we did a lot of talking, and then we went to see the late night viewing of the Hunger Games. I don't usually go see the movie before reading the book. I'm a very avid reader, and the books always have a whole lot more detail than movies do, obviously. So, but it was just something that I knew that I need to do, and I will get to the books. Hopefully, it might be something that I'll start next week. I'm actually right now trying to finish up Kathy Macias series on Deliver Me from Evil, and then the special delivery that she just had come out. So those are what I'm on right now. Very exciting, very hard reading. The Hunger Games did not necessarily disappoint me. In some ways, it surprised me. It was rather well done. I'm not always a big fan of Hollywood in the way that they do movies. Even though Suzanne Collins, I know, was one of the producers, and I think that helped a lot when authors can do that. I still am disturbed on a lot of different levels. It's not necessarily the book. It's not a new type of book. There are dystopian novels have been written since the 1600s. Thomas More wrote his novel Utopia back in the 1500s, and since then, of course, there's always the bent towards humanity to try to invert that in some ways, and it was done in many, many ways. But The Hunger Games, because it's a young adult novel, and you have these, when you put something into movies like this, perhaps it was a big deal when the books came out in 2008. I never really heard a whole lot about them until the movie came out, and then there was a lot more hype. So that's my issue, is that you have these teenagers, young, early teens, teenagers, even young in the 20s, and even parents watching the movies. And from what I'm hearing, it's taken more. I've actually done polls and asked some of my young friends. We are campus ministers, and so I have an inroad to a lot of different college-age students, and my own daughters also. But just asking, did you see The Hunger Games as a sci-fi or a reality depicting some country today? And pretty much I got the answers mostly were that it is fantasy, futuristic, something maybe in the future. Hopefully that won't happen. And that's where my beef is. I don't want anybody to misunderstand that as I'm against children reading books or that they have to be a certain type of novels. It's just when Hollywood gets hold of things, the hype is the actors and the actresses and those that take away from the meaning of the book. There are so many different levels to this novel, and I'll probably write more after I read the books and make some notes. I will write more and have more to say. They would be extremely intuitive type books to teach in junior high and high school and even into college age. But for right now, I want you to understand that I still think that despite what Suzanne Collins wanted to say, that this would maybe help a little bit of the desensitizing of video games and graphic movies and just the media that's out of control. There's nothing sacred on media anymore. So our kids are seeing, and the lines are blurring between reality and fiction to them. This book only, to me, punctuates that desensitizing, especially when it's Hollywoodized. And you've got kids that are on this team or another team, the different tributes, and they're making fun of the games. There's a fascination with these games. There's a fascination with the killings. There's a fascination with the oppression that's happening. And a lot of it might be that these young people just don't know how to handle that, don't know how to process that correctly. So if you are an older adult or you're somebody that really gets what the Hunger Games is about, that you really get that this is not futuristic at all. There are countries, matter of fact, we in America and other countries that live less oppressive are in the minority. More countries, more people groups in the world live in oppression than not. And that's what I want us to see, is to be able to step outside of our door of America and be able to see that there are people that live in those fears. There are people that live, I've seen those eyes. I've seen the types of eyes that they showed in the movies that depict those that have been under oppression and under somebody's thumb for a very long time, and they've lost hope. And these kids, Katniss and Peeta, bring some hope to this district and other districts. They awaken something in them, and sometimes that's all it takes is maybe us going somewhere and doing something for somebody, even if it's here in America. We've got inner city, we've got people that are hungry, we've got people around us without hope. And sometimes it just takes a smile, sometimes it takes a piece of bread, sometimes it takes words spoken into them. Sometimes it takes a little more maybe than we're willing to do. But I hope that the Hunger Games will open up conversations in your homes, in your classrooms, in your churches, that will help us be aware that this is not fantasy, that this is really something that happens in the world and could even happen in America. We thank God for our freedoms, but in that freedom comes a responsibility to be there for others. God bless. Have a good evening.